everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. On today's show, we'll preview an academy class about whaling in New England, and we'll take a look back at our best stories from earlier this week. But first, a few reminders for you. On Monday evening, there will be a movie night. The feature is Shane, the Academy Award-nominated Western from 1952. Alan Ladd stars as a drifter and retired gunfighter who assists a homestead family that has been terrorized by a wealthy cattleman and his hired gun. It's a mysterious classic Western myth that is enhanced by some great performances. That's on Monday, and showtime is 6:45 p.m. in the Social Center on the island. And there are a couple of events coming up on Tuesday you might want to consider. The Fort Myers Archery Club will be at the Woodlands, putting on an exciting demonstration. And you can participate with guided instruction and shooting practice. The fun starts at 2 p.m. in the bocce courts across from the Woodlands Commons. If staying inside with a good book is more to your liking, the Library Book Talk will take place at 2:15 in the Social Center on the island. Jim Davey of Genonia will review The Hidden White House, about the restoration of the Great House during the Truman era. Discussion and refreshments will follow. Now, we've said it before, this semester's Academy offerings have something for everyone. The breadth of offerings is fantastic. Where else can you find so many subjects offered at a retirement community? Technology, travel, photography, poetry, geography, history, the list goes on. New England whaling, you ask? Well, we've got that too. I'm not kidding. Here's a preview.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Seth Mendell of Teledora. You may remember him as the man who brought us the Russian Tsars last semester. This semester he's giving us a good look at whaling in New England. Thank you for joining me, Seth.
Well, it's awfully nice to be here, and I look forward to doing this short seminar on the story of New England whaling. As I was mentioning earlier, whaling really is kind of in my blood. My triple great-grandfather was a ship's captain around 1800, and his son, Nathaniel Freeman, was a whaleman and lost his life in the Indian Ocean. And so it's in my blood. But my knowledge of whaling comes from the New Bedford Whaling Museum, where I still am an active docent in the summertime and have been there about 20 years.
You shared with me that 1650 to 1900 was kind of the heyday of whaling. How much did whaling affect the United States and the world?
Well, the whole springboard, so to speak, for the whaling industry was, of course, the whale oil. And the reason that whale oil was such a valuable commodity was that long before electricity and petroleum, whale oil was burned in lamps to give you illumination at night. And so it was a sought-after, marketable commodity. And so when our colonists came over in the 1600s, they moved from the Bay Colony, the Boston area, down to Cape Cod and Nantucket. And these were enterprising men. And the right whale migrated, just like our snowbirds do today, from the Caribbean up off Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, back and forth with the seasons. And with Cape Cod sticking right out there and Nantucket, you could stand on the beach and see the spouts of the right whale.
And they knew there was whale oil in those whales. How in the world did they get a whale? I mean...
Well, of course, in those days, they dragged their little whale boats about 30 feet long off the beach and rowed out and harpooned the whale.
That's amazing, isn't it?
But later on, they did it from shipboard. And so then they carried the boats on the whale ship. And then they'd lower the boats and go out and harpoon the whale. And that's what they did. They threw a harpoon into the side, and with a rope attached to the boat. And the whale then would tow the whale boat. And that's why they called it a Nantucket sleigh ride, because whaling originated in the colonies off of Nantucket. And whales, of course, are mammals, and eventually tired himself out, just like the lion and the Wizard of Oz trying to run out of the poppy bed, remember?
Yeah. Well, Seth, this is a fascinating story. Thank you for sharing a great beginning with us. We know the implications are gigantic for our country and actually the world, and we can't wait to hear more.
I look forward to getting started.
Good. So join us, please. 2 sessions. The first one, Monday, January 26th in the Social Center, 1:15, an hour and a half for part 1 of the story of New England whaling with Seth Mendell.
Coming up, we're going to replay some of our best stories from this week on Shell Point Today. But before we do that, let's cover all of this weekend's happenings, Academy news, menus, and church news.
Welcome to the weekend edition of Shell Point TV's Happening segment. I'm Bev Chandley, and this is Caitlin Van Scoy, and we're going to tell you what's going to happen on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to start Friday morning at 8 o'clock with the men's match play tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And the stamp ministry will be down in the stamp room of the Island Tunnel at 8:15. 8:30 to 11:30, the Friday marketplace will be in the administration courtyard. Canasta and Samba will be played at 9 o'clock at the Woodland Commons second floor lobby. At 9:15, the Pavilion Auxiliary Orientation will be in the Osprey Room. You do need to sign up for that training. At 10 o'clock, the Fellowship Coffee will be in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. At 10 o'clock, the men's match play doubles will be at the tennis courts. And at 10:15, we have Inquiring Minds. They'll be in the Manatee Room on the island. We start our afternoon activities at 12:30 with Mixed Progressive Bridge. That's in the game room of the Woodlands. 1:15, we have Advanced Table Tennis. That's in the Tarpon Room. The Quilters will be in the Osprey Room at 1:15. And the Model Train Room will be open for tours from 1:30 to 3:30. Vespers will be held in the Arbor at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, the card game Bid Euchre will be played in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. Water volleyball will be at the LifeQuest Aquatic Center at 2:15. And we have 2:30 Latin size class down in the Health Club. Vespers will be at the Community Room of King's Crown at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, we have the Art Studio quarterly meeting. That's in the Social Center on the island. And our last Vespers will be at the Springs at 3:30. At 4 o'clock, pickleball will be at the pickleball court. And then we'll have game night at 6:45. That's at the Resident Activity Center. And also, we have 7:15 Friday worship service at the Village Church. Here's Caitlin with the Saturday lineup.
Thank you, Bev. We start our Saturday morning off with 8 a.m. pickleball at the pickleball courts on the island. Also at 8 a.m., the round robin doubles tennis will be at the Woodlands tennis courts. 9:30 is the time for men's and women's doubles tennis at the Woodlands. At 9:45, duplicate bridge will be played in the Manatee Room on the island. At 10 a.m., the LifeQuest group discussion will be held in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. And come out for Model Yacht Sailing Club at 10:15 at the Garden Apartment Pond. Then we jump into our afternoon. We start off with 1 p.m. chess in the Library Lounge of the Resident Activity Center. And 1:15 is the time for Scrabble in the Library Lounge and table tennis in the Tarpon Room on the island. 3:15 we have basic line dancing in the Health Club. And we finish Saturday off with 6:30 duplicate bridge in the Manatee Room of the island. And here's Bev for our Sunday activities.
Thank you, Caitlin. We have at 9 o'clock, we have Christian Life Studies in the game room of the Woodlands and also at the Village Church. At 10:15, we have our morning worship service at the Village Church. It's also broadcast live on Shell Point TV, Channel 13. We're going to jump all the way to 4:15 this afternoon, where you'll find ballroom line dancing for beginners down in the Health Club. And our 6:15 evening worship service will be held at the Village Church. Thanks for joining us for this weekend edition of Shell Point's TV, and we'll see you back here next week.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Friday and the weekend. On Friday, the Academy begins at 10:15 with the 1950s Part 2 in the Social Center of the island, and sign-up is required. At 10:15, Apple iPad Walk-In Clinic will take place once again in the Teaching Center on the island. All are welcome with a question. At 1:15, Follow Your Friends and Family on Facebook will take place in the Computer Teaching Center of the island. I'd like to tell you about classes coming next week. On Monday, we have How to Photograph People with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve, iPhones Phone App with Bruce Findlay of Sundial, New England Whaling with Seth Mendell of Teledora. He'll do session 1. On Tuesday, the 4th session of Legendary Places with Professor Adrian Kerr. On Wednesday, we have Scrapbooking with a Purpose with Deborah Malkai of Periwinkle, and also Protecting Against Attacks on the Inheritance, a legacy seminar. On Friday, the 1950s Part 3 with Gerald Zeidenberg. Please see your Academy brochure for more information on these and all the classes we offer. I look forward to seeing you in an Academy class soon.
Menus for your weekend. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter on Friday is stuffed sole with spinach served with primavera, vegetables, and pasta. The dinner special is the seafood buffet for $15.95, and the soup of the day is corn chowder. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is an Italian meatball sub with chips for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Friday are lamb chops for $22.95 or chicken Oscar for $16.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Saturday, the special is a chili cheeseburger with fries for $7.25. The dinner special is a balsamic pork chop with baked potatoes and mixed vegetables for $8.25. The dinner special in the Palm Grill on Saturday is prime rib for $19.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room features its Sunday brunch for $17.50. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Sunday, the special is a tuna melt on an English muffin with fresh fruit for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Janice Quinlan, who's our international worker in residence here at the Village Church, a resident at Shell Point for this past year, and we've been delighted to have you here. You're about halfway through, aren't you, this particular time? Now, we're here to talk about the weekend services, but it's a very special weekend because we are in the middle of Global Impact Week, and I'm sure, Janice, as an international worker, maybe you feel like I do, that this is sort of the highlight week of the year for a church that is devoted to international work.
I'm glad you think that, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's an exciting week, and we've enjoyed a number of things already this week. The president of the Christian and Missionary Alliance, John Stumbo, has been here as our keynote speaker. We've had a wonderful banquet, and then we've also enjoyed the ministry of 2 international workers who have come to us specifically for this week. One was Todd Adams from Indonesia, and then another person from West Africa. But we're looking at the final worship services on Sunday morning and evening that I think will bring the entire week to a conclusion. And we're thrilled that you are the speaker for the morning worship service.
Thank you for that great honor, Pastor Andy.
So tell us a little bit about what you have in mind.
Well, the theme that was selected for us, the joy of access, allows us to share opportunities with you that might have appeared to be closed doors, but we know that God is always working whether we see it or not, and access that He has brought into people groups within Thailand and even outside the borders of Thailand. So I hope to share with you some stories of my 30 years of ministry in Thailand.
Well, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people, maybe even who haven't connected with the Village Church, to find out what is the heartbeat behind our desire to communicate the gospel. They should come Sunday morning, shouldn't they?
They should come.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's at 10:15. And then in the evening service, that's a 6:15 service, we are what's going to happen there? We're going to have another speaker.
Yes, we're going to have one of our international workers from West Africa close the program for the week, and then we're going to have refreshments afterwards.
Absolutely. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, don't forget we have our Christian Life Studies on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. We're also focusing on the joy of access in this series in the CLS classes as well. So 9 o'clock Sunday morning, Christian Life Studies, 10:15 the morning worship service with Janice Quinlan as our main speaker, and then Sunday evening our International Worker Fellowship following. We'll look forward to seeing you and hope to do so very soon here at the Village Church. Good day and God bless you.
And now it's time to look back at stories from this week. Our favorite professor came by to preview his upcoming academy class about legendary places.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here with my favorite history instructor, and probably yours too, Professor Adrian Kerr. He is giving us something new and really interesting, legendary places from his bucket list. Thanks for joining me, Adrian.
It's a pleasure, as always, to come to Shell Point. Thank you, Terry.
Adrian, it is so interesting to hear about your travels and to imagine how you chose your favorite ones, and you're going to present them to us. How did you ever decide?
Part of them are my bucket list, so to speak, things I've enjoyed visiting over the years. But I was also influenced by your residents, because we put out a questionnaire over a period of weeks, and they kindly replied. And they were quite amusing, some of them, because they're saying, I've been there, I'd like to be reminded about it.
Yes.
Or I've never been there, I'm never going to get there, so tell me about it. And so there are two populations. So I extracted the most common list, because I could have had 40 or 50, but I tried to keep it to about 20, which are the most popular, both in my view, but also in your residents' view.
And you're an historian. We know that, and we love that about you. Yet you also are so good about telling us what something is like right now.
Yes, I suppose visiting these places, it opens your eyes to the state in which they are in, how popular they are, how many people go there, or the reverse, you know, how dilapidated, how crumbling they may be, and also the restrictions. So I like to give the history and how the monument was conceived and how it was constructed, and then how it died out or was lost or has been restored. So this is a whole spectrum of originality through to current status.
Fabulous. Now, I know you're going chronologically from the oldest to the newest of these legendary places. Starting at 2500 BC with the Great Pyramids, I know you are instrumental in helping to support the college students from Chicago who are there, working to preserve the pyramids. How is that going?
Very well, actually. When we had the 2007-2008 financial meltdown, people who had been giving money to the trust to help these 7 students in Luxor, they spend 6 months from November to April, and then they come back and write up their notes and then go back another year. And it's a great privilege to be selected to work for the University of Chicago Oriental Institute. And the books that I sell and talks I give, the money from those goes to this fund to keep them in, I hope, pencils and papers and food, but I suspect it may be spent on other things as well. But I go out once a year at least to visit them, and they're in Luxor, which is the south part of Egypt, not far away from the pyramids, but that's where all the Valley of the Kings is, that's where Luxor Temple is, where the Karnak Temple is, and so on. And they are gradually restoring and recording the hieroglyphic text in that area, and they've been doing it for nearly 100 years.
That's fabulous. Now, you're going to go chronologically every Tuesday in January, so people can go the whole route with you, or they can just pop in and take 1, 2, or 3 of the sessions, all the way to my favorite, the Taj Mahal in India.
Yes, I thought I'd leave, well, it's interesting, I'd leave it to the end because it's such a beautiful structure and it has such deep, meaningful love story between the emperor and his beautiful wife, who he was in love with until the day she died, bearing his 14th child. And it's a true love story, and if you look at the various stories in ancient history and Middle Ages, then this probably stands out as being the monument, the greatest monument to love. And so it's many people's favorite, and it's one of mine too. But interestingly, although people look at the pyramids and Machu Picchu and the pyramids in Central America and the Great Wall of China and all these things, not everybody is able to establish the timeline. So what I'm trying to do on these 4 talks is take us through the timeline from the oldest to the youngest, so to speak. And so that's why the Taj Mahal is at the end, because it's in fact 17th century construction.
And these are legendary places. We can't forget that. So looking at, that's going to tell us a lot about everything, isn't it? What we were capable of as humanity, starting back with the pyramids, to what we were capable of in 1600 with the Taj Mahal.
Of course, you'll see a growing sophistication and quality of masonry and size and style. That changes over the last 4,000 years. But I tried to pick, with the help of your residents, items from each continent. So it's not going to be focused on entirely the Middle East or India. It covers all continents and many of the great places that people like to visit. But I would encourage everybody to start traveling in 2015, because as I go to each location, they become more restrictive. For instance, today only 50 people can enter the Great Pyramid because of the damage they cause. Tutankhamun tomb in 2015 is now closed, and you have to go to reproduction, which is about 4 miles away. So nobody can ever go into the original Tutankhamun museum. Machu Picchu, you have to get a pass or a visa to go up into the village itself, and they're restricted to so many a day because of the damage to the ecology, and so on. The only one which, in fact, ironically, is still the two which stand out is the Great Wall of China. They are still open to tourists. My daughter was there in just before Christmas, and it was 38 degrees. So she was one of 3 people on the Great Wall of China. People forget how cold Beijing can be. And the Taj Mahal is the exact opposite. It's the most popular but one spot for people to re-give their vows. So most of the people on the Taj Mahal are not foreigners. It's only 10% of foreigners. Most of them are Indians. And although it's an Islamic monument built during the Mughal Empire, the people who go today are Hindu. So I like it because you can sit there from dawn to dusk and you can see this mixing of the 2 rivers, the Hindu people there today with some Islamic people, and of course in an Islamic structure. So they are able to push out of their minds the fact that they're visiting a Islamic structure, and to see it as a beautiful building, and that's a hope for humanity.
Very much is. Thank you. I hope you don't miss any of these Tuesday opportunities in January to spend some time with Professor Adrian Kerr with his legendary places many of you have requested.
We got a look at a fabulous collection of Lladró and other pieces from Spain on display in the beautiful home of David and Mary Fountain.
I was in the military for 21 years as a Navy chaplain. And part of that Navy chaplain time, we spent 3 years in Spain. Well, I do not speak Spanish, but Mary speaks Spanish and I do not. So it was Dave the driver and Mary the mouth. And that got us around Spain royally for 3 years, from 1980 to 1983. We were stationed at our naval base at Rota, which is the only naval base that the Navy has in Spain.
While we were there, I was able to work in the duck shop 1 day a week. That was, I don't know how it got that name, but Ramon, the proprietor, named it, and he collected junk and antiques and brought them in. And I would say, Ramon, why did you bring that trash? It's never going to sell. And he'd say, you just wait, Maria. There's something for everybody. Somebody's going to buy this. Ramon would bring in boxes of tiles that they made of several of the paintings in the museum in Sevilla, the Prado. And these are 2 reproductions of that. They're on ceramic tile, and that's the Waterman of Seville, and then the fruit seller's children over there. The thing I love about Lladrós is that they make their pieces beautiful from every angle. And so when you look at the flight, the birds, the feathers, the positioning of the porcelain, it's just amazing that there's a beautiful shot from every vista that you want to look at. That's the Nun at the Pianos. I don't believe this piece has ever been imported to the United States, so it is also quite different. Something that you wouldn't see here, but because Spain is a Catholic country, it's a nice thing for the people over there to enjoy. This is a little girl with a pan of snails for the ducks to be feeding on, which I thought was neat. And then behind her is a little girl with a lamb. That caught my attention because my maiden name was Lamb. My first name is Mary, so she was very special for me. There was a series of these little girls sitting in the chairs, and this one I thought was so sweet, so lovely. They are such lovely pieces, these musical angels. And again, they are pieces that are just graceful from every angle that you turn them. Really beautifully constructed and made as you watch each piece that is so beautifully portrayed in this figurine. The embroidery lady, and she is a very popular piece, and she is a lovely, lovely piece to show the embroidery. The detail on her is magnificent. And again, she's sitting in the ladder back chair, and every angle is just so nice. Even the back with her braid and the ties on her apron coming down. These are two angels. When you look at this piece, the traditional insignia for Lladró is missing. That denotes that it's a second. On this piece over here, the other angel, that angel is a first, and you see that that insignia is intact, and so that tells you that that's a first, or the top quality of the Lladró. Another Lladró that is in the matte finish, and some people prefer that to the traditional, and so we bought her again with a bird because we wanted an example of that type of work that Lladró does. From literature, you know about Don Quixote and his partner Sancho Panza, and so there are two wooden figurines from that story. This piece right here, Ramon sold the old Singer sewing machine treadle bottoms, and then you could have a piece of wood or a piece of marble cut to go on the top to make a table for yourself. And when we moved into our apartment in Spain, the only thing there was a sink and a light bulb from the ceiling. We had to come up with all the other furniture. So while we were there, this was the microwave holder, and I went out to the marble shop and picked out a piece of marble. We have a scale that was from the duck shop, and it weighs kilos and half kilos, and one of the fans, of course, that they use in the flamenco dancing. So that is a nice memento of our time there. In Toledo, outside of Madrid, they do the gold inlay work, and this is a piece of Toledo work that I think is very beautiful. Just the detail is lovely. Also at that area, they make excellent scissors, and outside the cathedral there they had several little stalls or shops where you could buy these, and these scissors are just excellent. Some of the best pottery is the Porticelli, and this blue platter and this pitcher were given to us by our chapel when we left, and they are just exquisite pieces. Above that is a Madonna and Child that Ramon found in the Rostro outside of Madrid. Just a sweet piece, I think, out of brass. Millán, he's a very well-known painter. At that time we were in Spain, he was a very well-known painter. Some of the best depiction of fruit I've ever seen in a painting. The grapes are just translucent. The light that he uses make the fruit look real, and even as you get closer to the painting, you see the veins on the leaves and the light and the sort of mustiness on the grapes that just make his painting so special. This is a coat rack that came into Ramon's shop. We've been able to push it into almost every place that we've lived, and it certainly is very handy as we're living here in this apartment, as we put coats and bags we're taking out and everything on it. So that's been a nice piece to have that's very usable. While we were there, cathedrals in Seville were selling their music books. They didn't have the printed word then, and so the choir people sang from these music sheets, and they would display them on these elegant stands and then turn the pages as the people sang. And we had no idea what they said until we moved to Shell Point, and Ivan and Ellie Watts were able to translate them for us. Number one, these sheets were made in November, or corrected by the Master of Forms of Music in November 9th, 1600. And right here it says Gregorian chants around 1600, Seville, Spain. And the translation for this is, He will make all things new through His blood. Alleluia. Things below will be as things above. And then if you turn it around, we had it double framed. And on the back it says, He is the Lord, and His glory will be seen by you. And the translation on this music sheet, Behold, the mighty prophet will come and point us to your righteousness, is the translation on that. And one of the reasons we like this music sheet is because it has a correction made by the Master of Forms of Music, which has a signature in the back of the book that he went through and corrected that book in November. I think it's November 9th of 1600. So we thought it was extra interesting, or had a point of extra interest to have that on there. Each of these sheets needed to be double framed because there was beauty and meaning on both sides of the paper. Our plaque on the wall here, Dios bendiga cada rincón de esta casa, God bless every corner of this house. And we've carried that with us.
Melody Desolé had some news for you from the Shell Point Art Show.
Hi, Shell Point resident artists. I'm Melody Desolé, here today to talk about the 2015 Art Show and Sale. Now, there's been some exciting changes to what we usually do, so you want to stay tuned to listen to this entire announcement. First things first, the date and time and place. It will take place on Friday, March 20th and Saturday, March 21st. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. both days, and it'll take place on both floors of the Woodlands Commons. Now that encompasses the lobby, the fireplace lounge, the Oak Room, the Game Room, and the Grand Cypress Room. Registration for the show will be held in the Resident Activity Center on February 3rd, 4th, and 5th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Now, I did say registration, so you may be wondering what I'm talking about. These are the registration forms. It's a yellow form that can be found at either service desk. What you want to do is review all the rules and regulations of the entire form, front and back. And then you'll see at the bottom there's a portion that you want to detach and turn that in during registration. Now, a lottery drawing will take place on Friday, February 6th at 10 a.m. in the same place, the Resident Activity Center. So you want to be present for both registration and the lottery. The mediums accepted for this 2015 Art Show and Sale include paintings, note cards from original art, pottery, sculpture, stained glass, photography, woodworking, lapidary, scrapbooking, collage, and other mediums. Now, I did mention an exciting twist. This year, each artist will reserve either an 8-foot table or one side of a pegboard. The fee to purchase this for the show is $15. If additional requests are needed, say it's an additional 8-foot table or an additional side of a pegboard, you must contact me at 454-2290 to put in your request. Now, all requests will be considered, but all may not be approved. Now, if 2 people would like to share 8 feet of table space, that's perfectly acceptable. However, we'll charge $15 per individual rather than just $15 for the table. Now, each artist is responsible for manning and collecting their own money during the show. So they are taking care of selling their own artwork, and all artwork must be for sale during the show. We are requesting from our artists that they only represent one medium in the show and sale. However, they can sell as many pieces as they like, as long as they uphold our Shell Point standard. So there you have it. That was a brief summary of all the various rules and regulations, which of course go into much more detail on the yellow form. The dates you want to remember is the registration dates, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of February from 1 to 3 p.m. in the Resident Activity Center. And that's where you'll turn in this portion of the form. The lottery drawing will take place on February 6th at 10 a.m. in the Resident Activity Center. I look forward to meeting new artists and welcoming past artists into this exciting 2015 art show and sale. Thank you so much for all that you do, and we are so blessed to have your talent here in the Shell Point community.
Scrapbooking is a pursuit anybody can enjoy that can turn a pile of photos and miscellaneous stuff into a beautiful presentation. Debbie Melkai came by to tell us about how you can get started with this fun hobby.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Kolath, and I'm here with Deborah Melkai of Periwinkle. We're talking about her upcoming class in the Academy of Lifelong Learning, Scrapbooking with a Purpose. Thank you for joining me, Debbie.
Oh, my pleasure, Terry.
We very much enjoyed your, first of all, we enjoyed watching you walk around the island on Shell Point TV.
That seems like forever ago, but it was quite an experience.
Thank you. Wonderful. And then you taught a great class for us on paper book folding.
Yes, very successful. It was fun.
And then you and some friends started a scrapbooking group.
Right. Shortly after I moved here, one of my neighbors who was moving in at the same time noticed a lot of my boxes had scrapbooking written all over them. And she said, "Oh, are you a scrapbooker?" And I said, "I sure am." And she said, "So am I. We need to get a group going." Now, that was Kay Goodchild and Joyelle and Ryan were instrumental in getting that rolling, but I joined in right at the beginning. And we meet every Wednesday. Morning to the afternoon. Come and go. We'd love to have everybody.
That's so nice. And then we were talking at an arts group meeting, an art advisory board meeting, about maybe you had this desire to take scrapbooking to a different level.
Right. I'm not the traditional scrapbooker. I mean, I do appreciate photo organization and getting your photos labeled and so that your family and friends can enjoy them or you can find them easily. But I go a little extra way. I don't scrap every single one of my photos. You'd have millions, you know, in your lifetime. I pick the ones that really speak to my heart or for some reason just draw me in, which to me is the beauty of digital because you can just snap, 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 but there's one picture that talks to you usually. And those are the ones I scrap most often now. And I also do a lot of collaging and embellishing with my scrapbooks, which not everybody does. And it isn't, there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever you want to do, whatever your personal style is. But to me, what's important is picking that photo, and it comes from the heart. Like, why does that mean so much to you? And so I'm not an invent scrapper. I don't say, oh, this is Megan's birthday, June 4th, you know, 19 whatever. It's like I'll pick one picture and just look at that little face and say, where are you going to go with your life? What are you thinking? Where, you know, and that's what my journaling is about. And then that kind of brings in more memories that maybe you didn't remember, because all of a sudden you'll think, oh, well, gee, we did that when I was 1 year old or whatever, and it just brings it all together, I think. It's very emotional. It's a way to celebrate your life. It's also a way, I think, to come to terms with things that maybe have been difficult. Loss of a friend or a family member or whatever, you know.
The richness of life.
Exactly.
And that's so important. I have a photo of my mother holding me as a new baby. And I think, I wish I could talk to her that day. And what a gift to give your family. Well, I would think that a group of people all doing this together, would be sharing a lot of emotions and memories.
It is. We always have a box of Kleenex on the table. There's lots of joyous tears. There's lots of sad tears. And it's also a way, some people are reluctant to scrap photographs because it's so painful to look at them. But if you can get past that and maybe just pick one or two, the memories and the journaling, it's healing, it's helpful, and it's a way to deal with past issues that maybe weren't. Or like in my family, we have my father passed away very suddenly at a young age overseas, and we never had a chance to say goodbye. And that bothered me, you know, and you don't expect to have to say goodbye to a 60-year-old man, but we did. And so I have spent the last couple years just going through old photos of growing up with my sisters, and also as he aged and I aged, just the inner relationship we had, and it's been so helpful to have that journaling with those pages, and it's my way of saying goodbye. Sure. And also remembering, you know, because we didn't have that time to reminisce, you know. So there'll be tears, there'll be lots of sharing. It's fun. I hope people enjoy it.
There's so many joys too to share. I mean, how much fun is it to talk about people? What was it like when your first child graduated?
Exactly.
Did you have the opportunity to know your first grandchild? And, you know, just sharing all that is fabulous.
Well, and it's been interesting for my own children, too, because now that they're also parents, they start to appreciate, like you said, looking at your mother holding you. She's like, "Oh, Mom, wow," you know, and how you were feeling, because I know how I'm feeling.
Sure. What was it like when you were 20 and 30 and 40? And so wonderful. Well, tell me about the details. I hear you say journaling, and I hear you say book.
Right.
Will everyone have a book?
I'm putting together a kit for everybody. We're going to do a small project just to learn. There's techniques that I want to share with people, some different design principles that I use that they might enjoy knowing about. So we're going, as we walk through the process of picking a photo, we're going to build a page for that, and then we'll talk about what kind of journaling and why, and so it'll be a little bit of technique as well, and they'll leave with a small project that they can add to it in the future. So.
That's fabulous. Yeah. So what do people bring the first day?
I would recommend that they bring a pencil, a paper, scissors, and a ruler. And I will have everything else.
What about photos?
I think I'd like to talk to them first. But if they have a photo that they already are really interested in working with, absolutely. Sure. But I kind of like to chat a little bit and show some examples so I can kind of explain what I would like them to be looking for, because it'll be a little bit out of their comfort zone, I think.
Well, I can't wait to see where this goes.
We'll
I can't
have a show and tell.
Yeah. and is this going to be another group, or will these people fold into the scrapbooking group?
I hope
Who knows?
they do, because I could use some like-minded people. It would be nice. Wonderful. Yeah, it would really. And we're in a very nice group. So,
I bet you are. Well, you've gotten to know Debbie Malchi a little bit better in this interview. And I really do hope you'll consider looking in the brochure for the Academy, FLL 21, and joining her 5 Wednesdays scrapbooking with a purpose.
Ruth Duber had yet another recipe for us to keep making mealtime interesting and delicious in this episode of What's Cooking.
Hello, I'm Ruth Duber, and this is What's Cooking at Shell Point. And I have a special lady here today, Eleanor Perkins. She's been on my show many times, and I've nicknamed her Miss Butter Lady because she has made some of the most fabulous desserts, and they have mostly lots and lots of butter. So she's going to redeem herself today by something really healthy.
Yes, I am.
You go right ahead.
I certainly will. These are heart-healthy oatmeal pancakes, and came from the American Heart Association, so they are not only good for you, they just have a tiny bit of butter, they got no salt in them. The recipe can be halved if you want to, but they freeze beautifully. So I always make a whole recipe, and then I just put what's left over in the freezer. If you have company, you won't have any left over. So now, 2 cups of uncooked oatmeal, just regular oatmeal, not the quick cooking, but just regular Quaker Oats or any kind you buy oatmeal, not the steel cut. 2 cups of buttermilk. You mix that together the night before you're going to make them. If you were going to make them at night, you could just do it that morning because it needs to sit in the refrigerator. And this is what it will look like the next morning when you take it out. So when you get ready to mix them up, you just stir that up. You do stir it up really well, the oatmeal and the buttermilk, before you put it in the fridge. Then you mix with 2 eggs, which you beat up, of course. 2 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons. I want y'all to hear that. Just 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And I'm going to mix that up before I put I kind of like to mix my stuff as I go and not just put everything in at the same time. I know they say you can do that, but I guess I'm old and like to do it the way that I've always done it. So you mix that up. It has 1/4 of a cup of whole wheat flour. You can buy that in the Publix. I get the King Arthur brand, and it keeps in the refrigerator because, I mean, I don't use whole wheat flour a whole lot. It has 1 teaspoon of soda, baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, no salt, 2 tablespoonfuls of sugar. Let me be sure. 2 tablespoonfuls of sugar, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda. And so I have just mixed the baking soda and baking powder together right there. So I'm going to put that in there. And then the sugar I'm going to put in here and kind of stir that up just a little bit. I make mine on a griddle, but I mean you could do it in any kind of frying pan or anything that you wanted to. So then I'm going to dump the flour with the baking powder and baking soda in it. And I'm sorry, Ruth, we didn't cut the griddle on when I got here. And I usually, do you have some Pam? Although my griddle is a non-stick, I spray a little bit on there. These are very good if you like blueberry pancakes. Then you can put blueberries in any part of the batter you want to, or you can just sprinkle them on top, but then they kind of cook and make like hot cooked blueberries on the griddle, which is okay, it tastes good. I love to cook apples, and I don't put anything in them. I just cook them down till they're tender. Apples on them are delicious. I've also made a mixed berry, like a, what is it called, Ruth? A compote, a mix, and that I, yeah, and just spoon that over the top. I mean, you know, and of course you can't beat maple syrup on them too. Okay, I'm going to see how this first one does, and we'll just put this on. I do not make real big pancakes because I'm not a good flipper. Okay. Now see, somebody better than me could get 8 on here at one time. They look like they're really thick, but I guess it's because the buttermilk and the oatmeal, they're not gummy or, you know, like flour tasting, because they don't have but that little bit of flours.
Right.
I mean, it's a wonderful recipe.
Now, do they create bubbles on the top when they start to
well,
get done?
I just kind of watch around the edges. They don't bubble a lot. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay. See, and then I went to the edge.
Oh, that's all right.
The older I get, the least fussy I get. Isn't it wonderful to not have to be a perfectionist and do everything right? It took a long time to get there. I mean, we deserve that. So you have to work at not being. I work real hard at not being perfect, so I've made it well. Yes. A little tidbit. Okay. I have never served these to anyone who did not like them.
That's a good recommendation.
And I don't always tell them, usually I tell them what they are, that they're heart healthy. Now, they're not all sweet and sugary and buttery like, what is the kind that you like, David? The Belgian, like a Belgian waffle pan. And those, I mean, that you can tell, I mean, that is a major dessert. But they're really good. They have a wonderful flavor, and they're delicious. And I will not be offended if anybody doesn't like them. Likes it. Okay, those are done. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
These aren't quite ready.
Now this isn't real butter, but all righty.
You're the expert.
Oh no.
Yes, you are.
Not really. People have asked me what my background is, and I say raised 4 kids and a husband.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
That's right.
Yeah. I use the light syrup just because I like it.
I have a neighbor who brings me Vermont syrup every year when she goes home to Vermont, and real maple syrup, and it is so good.
Oh, I get such a kick out of her.
Oh, I didn't let the baby one get quite brown enough. But
Oh, that's okay.
You want me to taste it too?
That's the best pancake I've ever
They're
eaten.
good, aren't they? They really are. I think I'll have another bite.
I forgot we have to end the show. I'll put the recipe up on the website. I hope you'll try it. Thank you so much for watching us.
Bye-bye.
And try it. Bye.
People are no doubt the all-time most popular subject of photography. There are some tips and tricks that can help you make your people shots really great, and Herb Sklar knows them all. He's ready and willing to share them with you, and he gave us a preview of how he plans to do that.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve, and we're talking about a new class in the new photo studio, and it is called How to Photograph People. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
Oh, you're welcome.
How to photograph people outdoors and indoors. First of all, we want to photograph people, but is it different outdoors and indoors?
Yes, you could run into a lot of different problems. Let's take the outdoors. You can have a rainy day. You can have a cloudy day. You can have a sunny day, and you say, oh, sunny day is great. No, it's not. Actually, the best day you can have is a cloudy day.
Are we going to plan that?
No. I don't think we can arrange a cloudy day, but I hope it's not, because I would like to show you different techniques, what to do if the sun is out very intense, what to do if it's very cloudy, and there are different things that you can do, and we will go through that and using simple techniques and simple props, and once you get that down, then we go indoors, and we will then show you how to photograph people indoors. A lot of people have taken pictures indoors and pop their flash on top of the camera, and the next thing you know, it's harsh light and big shadow behind them.
Red eyes.
Red eyes, yeah. So we're going to cover one day outdoors, one day in the photo studio, how to handle both lighting situations.
This is wonderful. And again, a small class, because you're going to all work together and go outside together and then come into the photo studio together?
Right. The first week, I think we meet at Woodlands, and we just go right outside there, and we'll find a spot, and we'll get right into it. And the following week, we meet in the studio. Should it rain the first week, we'll just flip them around.
That's right. And we'll make sure everybody knows what we're going to do with the weather. Now, how to photograph people. Indoors and outdoors is different. Is there anything else that we need to know about photographing people that kind of transcends if you're indoors or outdoors?
Yeah, there are certain common denominators which we'll get into. You know, about I like using 90 millimeters on my zoom lens because I think it makes people more flattering. You don't want to shoot at a low angle, so you're shooting up somebody's nose.
Right, right.
You know, so there are things that are very common to outdoor, indoor, and we'll go through that.
So you need to have a camera. You need to know how to use it.
Yeah, it helps.
But you'll be getting all these nice tips for photographing people.
And they will get to use the equipment in the studio for the indoor lighting.
Which is very nice. Good. Well, we hope that you'll take time to sign up for this class. We hope you get into it. We can only have a small group of people, but Herb has promised to keep teaching these classes as long as we have a desire to take them. And it's 2 Mondays, January 26th, February 2nd. And according to your instructions, on the 26th, you meet in the Woodlands lobby. And if Herb has to change for weather, you'll be the first to know.
Caregiving can quickly become a daunting task, no matter how strong you are and no matter how deeply you care for your loved one. The Finding Joy support group exists to help find ways to ease the burden. We heard about it from Mary Franklin and Jane Johnston.
I'm Mary Franklin, here today with resident Jane Johnston to talk about a new support group that is forming called Finding Joy. Jane, thanks for being here today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's tell the residents a little bit about you. You are, how many years have you been living at Shell Point now?
We've lived here about 1.5 years.
Okay. And what did you do before you moved to Shell Point?
Before I was a physical therapist, and I'm retired now. I had my own practice, my husband and I did, and so I've done therapy for a lot of years.
Right. Well, good. Now, you came to me interested in starting the Finding Joy support group, which is interesting. Finding joy is inspiring. Why did you decide that this support group needed to be called Finding Joy, and who should come?
Well, I've been a caregiver for years. By being a physical therapist, I've been a caregiver, and I've been a caregiver in my own family. And I also had a health issue that was pretty severe, and I became the person being cared for, which is not nearly as much fun.
No.
And what I discovered in that is there's great joy to be found, and sometimes we don't see it because we're so overwhelmed with our feelings of grief or sadness, or just being overwhelmed with the tasks that we need to do. But there really is joy. Right. And so that's where I came up with the idea.
Okay, so caregivers are encouraged to go, and those that had attended in the past the Walk With Me support group would really appreciate this group, right?
Oh yes, I think so.
Okay.
It would be great if they came.
Okay, now you gave me a little sneak peek about what's to come in the future. You're planning on having guest speakers and special programs each time you meet?
Yes, and I'm really excited. I don't have a firm schedule on anybody, but right now the group from Shell Point on the new respite program, they're going to be coming and talking about that. I'm also really excited. I'm working with Lee Memorial, and they are, I already have a music therapist scheduled to talk to us about how music changes our lives. And we also have Tai Chi, and Bev Chandley's going to be talking to us about how we can change our energy around us just by movement.
Right.
And I have another topic that I'm hoping to talk with someone in the behavioral department about holidays and families.
Very important. Another great aspect to this group is you're asking everyone to come a little bit early. The official start time is 1:45.
Correct.
But you're saying come on a little early. Come to the Manatee Room at 1:30.
Right, so we can visit and and so I can get to know everybody.
Right, right. So that's going to be a great opportunity, and we'll have some coffee and pastries there, so it kind of lightens the mood a little bit, and everybody will get to know each other. And this is really going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So anybody who's a full-time caregiver, part-time caregiver, anyone who is giving of themselves, this would be a great session for them.
It would be wonderful, and people maybe who are no longer caregiving but have got wonderful insight to share with the rest of us.
That would be great and inspiring. Well, I'm Mary Franklin along with Jane Johnston. Have a wonderful day.
Well, that wraps up another week on Shell Point Today. We're glad you joined us for our show. Tune in again next week for more news and stories from around your community. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of January 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I'm Adam Brown, and for all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.